welcome back to Girl Talk. You know, one of the things I love about Girl Talk is the variety of topics we have on this program. We just got done talking about nature's soap, a great way to clean your home, your laundry. And later we're talking car care tips, and right now we're going to talk taxes and required minimum distribution with Nicole Broyles of Broyles and Company CPA. Thanks for joining us today, Nicole.
Thank you.
We love having you. You're so good at explaining how taxes and all those things work. So
dumbing it down is what Janet would
well,
say. It's okay, I'll say it.
yes, I was trying to be diplomatic. Let's start with required minimum distribution, RMD. I know I've heard the term. Tell us about that.
It is a minimum amount that has to be taken out of your retirement plan. And that can include 401k, IRA, SEPs, Simples, profit sharing plans, any type of retirement plan. And that begins when you turn 70 and a half. So
We have a couple years, but okay.
hopefully so, yes. And it has to be taken on an annual basis from there on. And the amount that has to be taken is dependent on the balance in your account, your retirement account, and your life expectancy. So the IRS has tables that dictate and will determine how much you need to withdraw from that account.
What if you don't? What happens?
Then you're subject to a penalty. It could be as much as up to 50% of what you were required to withdraw if it is not withdrawn on time. Now, there are some exceptions, and you can request a waiver if you did not meet that distribution deadline. And you know, if you were expected to make the distribution, if you make reasonable steps to make the distributions and you are getting it corrected, then the penalty does have the ability to be waived.
Okay.
And then there are also some exceptions to actually having to take the distribution. The IRS, or actually Congress, made permanent a law last year that allows you to actually take the minimum distribution that you would have to take out of your retirement account and actually give it directly to a charity. And it doesn't have to then be taxed to you. So it goes directly from the retirement account to the charity. The charity benefits, you benefit because you save on taxes, and but you're meeting your required minimum distribution amount.
Everybody wins. Sounds
Yes.
good.
Boy, you can see how just asking an expert to get you situated with that is worth it if you're going to end up paying in some way anyway, right?
Yes. And there are a couple of other exceptions. If you're still working, if you're 70 and a half and you're still employed, but you have a retirement account with your employer, you actually can delay taking the money out of the account, so as long as you're employed. However, if you have a separate IRA account, separate from the employer, you do have to take your money out of that account.
Oh my gosh.
And if you have multiple IRAs, let's say, you know, multiple IRAs, a couple 401k accounts at old employers that you never moved, you actually have to figure the amount to take from all of those accounts. So all of the accounts have to be taken into consideration. But if you figure out that your total amount that you need to withdraw is $50,000, you can actually take the 50 directly from one account, not necessarily from each individual account. So you can pick and choose and decide which investments maybe are doing better than others, and you want to leave those alone and let them continue to grow, and take the money out of one that may not be doing as well.
Interesting that there's some strategy there as well.
Yes, and you will owe tax on the money that you take out. It gets reported on your tax return just like all the other income that you have. And so the employer, the company that's holding the IRA, they can actually withhold taxes from your distribution so that you're covered when you file your tax return and you're not short.
Wow, okay. A whole lot of questions are spinning in my mind now. Where do I go next? I guess my next question, you may have answered in some way already, but talk to us about who is required to take the minimum distribution. So is it only age-based? So you said there's some other requirements, but tell
anybody
us about
who
that.
is 70 and a half.
Okay.
And you have until December 31st to take that distribution. That very first year, there's sort of a also another exception in that when you turn 70 and a half, so let's say you turn 70 and a half in July, you have until December on an annual basis to take the distribution, December 31st. However, that very first year, you actually have a couple more months. You can wait until April to take that distribution the year after you turn 70 and a half.
So my follow-up question is, there's so many different components to this that could affect an individual. So if we work with you, you're going to keep track of that for us, right?
Well, usually anybody who's holding the IRA, whether it's a bank or an investment company, your employer, they will actually usually send you a notice. Ultimately, it is your own responsibility to keep track, but the company will typically send a notice to anybody who is approaching that 70 and a half age and letting you know that your distribution requirement is coming up. You need to start planning for this.
So if I forget this by then, I may get a letter in the mail.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Retirement can be so tricky.
Yes.
Right.
Well, thank goodness we have people like Nicole. You can imagine we just barely touched on this topic and we're out of time already. So if you have your own questions, give Nicole a call over at Nicole Broyles Company and CPA.
Broyles and Company CPAs.
Thank you.
You're hired.
Yeah, you're hired. We'll be back with more Girl Talk right after this.